We are live. We are live. We are live. All right, y'all. Ebony K. Williams, for those who don't know, is catching all kinds of issues from you know who, Black women. And this is interesting mainly because we men, just as men, influencers or content creators, we get this, but it's interesting when we hear women have these same issues as men do, the same exact issues. But what makes this special is because we all hear women say, stay out of women's business. Women need to, deal with women and all this other stuff, right? But then you hear or see the Yana Van Zants get death threats. For those who don't know, Ayala stopped her show, Ayala Fix My Life, which was huge, like was helping women left and right. The reason why she ended her show specifically, what's up, Shira, is because Ayala Van Zant was getting 2 years worth of death threats. And her grown son was like, all right, it's time to hang it up because at some point, somebody's going to act on these things and I don't want no problems. And she ended up telling her son, like, okay, I'll let it go. And we no longer have Ayala Fix My Life. Black women, Black women were doing this to her. Thousands of threats virtually every day of her life. And she's like 70 years old, right? So when we look at women like Ebony K. Williams or Ayala Van Zant or anybody else, it's not just us men. It's not just, oh, these men are misogynist. Stop. What is it? Any man with a mic think he has the answers, right? No, it's any woman with a mic. Is any cat with a mic? Is any dog with a mic? The truth is, regardless of who you are, you could be a space alien with a mic. If you correct Black women, keyword correct, not pander to, correct Black women, they're going to be triggered. They're going to call you names. They're going to say you're a narcissist if you're a man, or you're a pick me if you're a woman. And I am here to show you a video that is going to blow your mind and is going to show you that no matter who you are, if you aren't pandering to Black women, you are the enemy. So I got a friend of mine in the back. I'm about to bring her up. Y'all already know her. She's on the show Lapeef Lex Talk, my girl Paradise Paris. And she catches flack from Black women also. But whether you're Ebony K. Williams, whether you're Paradise Paris, whether you're Yana Van Zant, or whether you're Jesus's sister, Black women don't want to hear from you. So everybody hit the like button, hit the like button, hit the like button, hit the like button. We about to have this conversation. I'm about to play this video. Once y'all hit the like button, y'all hit the like button first. And we're going to go forward. Paris, what's going on?
Hey, Mr. Lego.
Hey.
I'm in good spirits today. It's good seeing you. I want to commend you so much for your take on that video. And as content creators, I feel like a lot of times when people get their own platform and sometimes they have a difference of opinion, they still don't want to help support their other fellow content creators unless they are doing the same thing or working together, or they just have the same opinion. You did a wonderful on it. You addressed both the men and the women. You held everybody accountable, but you did it in a way where it didn't pacify people, but it also wasn't attacking them. And I respect that so much. Such a well balanced, level headed, thought out whole rant that you did in regards to what Ebony K. Williams had to say. And I hope more people actually go see it. I really hope that video do numbers, and I shared it, of course.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I appreciate that. So the video that she's talking about is on my Instagram page, and it's I am underscore Mr. Let Go. So you can go watch that over there. And because I learned a lot. I learned a lot, not learned a lot. I learned a lot from Paris and a lot of other women content creators, because all together there's something that we men, just like what I was saying to Yana Vincent, right? Death threats, stuff like that. I don't get death threats because I'm a man. But altogether, there's an issue, an overwhelming issue that men content creators deal with when it comes to years of doing this type of work involving Black women, right? And we can get to the point where we can become cold or insensitive without even seeing it or paying attention, mainly because there's an assumption that no matter what we say, it's going to come off as the same thing. So what difference does it make? So before we get into the Ebony K. Williams video, I want to play a video that would easily show you exactly what I'm saying. So here's the video. Who either ruined her own life. So as I play this video, I want y'all to listen for me saying something crazy or anything, right? It's going to be a very, yeah. So it's going to be a very, it's going to be a very, very understandable, nice toned video. But I'm going to look in the comments as we play this video, and we're going to talk about the comments after watching what I actually said. So hit the like button, hit the like button, hit the like button, hit the like button. So check this out. The typical mom who either ruined her own life or just never got married, or however you want to call it, to a certain degree, she's going to look at her daughter or one of her children to take care of her. And in order for this to transpire in the next 10 years, because mom may be 40, she may be okay, she may be out here with the rest of everybody, right? As, you know, trying to find somebody. But in the future, when she turns 50, when she turns 60, she already knows her opportunities or options are going to decrease because she's getting older. And if she does not lock down a husband or a man or somebody to take care of her by the time she's 60, it's almost a guarantee she's going to look at one of her kids and say, hey, I need to come stay with you, or what if what happens if I can't pay my bills, or how what if I stop
you're
working?
The caretaker. It's your responsibility.
Mom is now looking at her children as her caretakers instead of having a man to grow old with. And some women may say, but men die early. But then guess what? You got his insurance policy that will actually put you in a position financially to take care of you. So in these comments, so first I want to ask, what did I say that was alarming, triggering, offensive, my tonality? As an example, what did I say in that video that was crazy and outlandish? Everybody hit the like button.
You said, and you got his insurance policy to take care of you.
Uh-huh.
That was crazy and outlandish.
That was what?
Crazy and outlandish.
Crazy and outlandish. Can you explain?
Yes. No, I'm kidding. But we do know that a lot of times Black people specifically, we don't have leftover funds for that. It would be nice if some men did invest into the whole life insurance thing or whatever the case may be. But not all the time. Not all the time. We don't leave our families well off. But everything else was spot on. Of course, the dating market wasn't meant for older people. The dating market wasn't meant to be as big as it was. The dating market was only supposed to be a select few singles who never got the opportunity to have children due to whatever reason. And it was supposed to be for secondary singles, meaning people who were newly divorced. But the dating market was never supposed to be this big. We have way too many options to choose from. And what's happening is that men always revert back to their want for companionship. They don't say it, but they always revert back to their want for companionship. And even if they don't necessarily voice it, there are women who fall in line with those men's program after a certain period of time of her dealing with him. And, we can say men are settling, whatever the case may be, but they're getting what they desire in the long run, to establish familyhood, to establish a community of their own and live out their purpose. Whereas we're seeing now more women in surplus who are Black are struggling with dating, struggling with the idea of finding a well-to-do partner, but they're not making the connection that age and the dynamic of society has a lot to do with this, because it was never it was never supposed to be this way.
I agree. So, regardless of how we got here, right? It's important for men and women to have the conversation and the discourse about marriage and what happens after marriage, right? And after marriage, meaning either divorce or death. And in that video, I'm just simply saying, if a woman has literally just had a whole bunch of kids and has not gotten a husband at some point, I know, Cookie, I'm gonna look at the replay. I got NFL replay. The Rams are playing. They're just like, what are you doing? The Rams are playing. I'm watching the replay of the Rams game. Altogether, when it comes to what I said, the tonality was normal, right?
What you said wasn't disrespectful at all or judgmental. But when people are listening, and you made a very great point earlier. You talked about getting threats and death threats and things like that. I actually made a post today that is currently on all of my platforms, because someone mentioned me on Instagram and said that I needed to be canceled. And just because of my thoughts and my views and my opinion. And I too have experienced like death threats. I have experienced being attacked, being belittled, my imagery, my parents, harassment. I've experienced these things solely because I don't subscribe to the dangerous mentality that modern women currently have. Because that's exactly what it is. They want to say that we're dangerous, but you're trying to restructure and reorganize the thought process of women that is a detriment to them, that ostracizes them from men, ostracizes them as a hierarchy over men and children, and put them in a very vulnerable state where there will be little to no society. And that's not something that we can afford to do. And so it just, when a person is listening to be offended, sometimes
they find it. Yes, I'm glad you said that. Go ahead.
Let them. Like you already start listening to me with your guard up. You already like this, and then the more that I talk, regardless of how much sense it makes, because even sometimes in the responses, people will start to agree with you, but they will fight the disagree, and so you already started hearing. Now you're trying to make it tighter than what it is, because you heard something that did not feel good to you, but I did not attack you. And I did not judge. It just wasn't resonating with the person that you are. You chose to hear me and receive it as offensive. Not my tone, not my perspective, not anything that I said could have been wrong. But for some reason, this bothers you because it is the antithesis of what you believe to be true. But we've seen in history that it is not true. And we love to make it seem as if women will grow old and alone and be happy. That's not true. They may not have the same type of studies in mass as men. We've seen it more often with men, but the dynamic of parenthood has changed. The dynamic of society has changed, right? 40 years ago, even 30 years ago, we know, I would go 20 years ago, back in the early 2000s, men were not considered, especially not black men were not considered active parents. So if your granddaddy or something was dying by 2010, that wasn't uncommon for the family to not talk to him, not deal with him, not go see him, because we know that they didn't have an active type of parenthood. But this generation has changed that substantially. The men are now active. The men are now picking up over 70%. They have the highest active rate, whether it's even with a step parent. And I know that's something that everybody don't subscribe to, but even with step parents, and black men are the highest. So when we're having these conversations and we're trying to prevent women from doing something to their detriment, it comes off as you're trying to tell them what to do, you're trying to abuse them, you're trying to belittle them, you're trying to control their life. No, there is warning before destruction. And just because you don't see all these other women who are running around telling you, I'm lonely, but I got a lot of money, or I'm lonely and I'm making enough to pay my bills, and I'm dealing with Curtis here and there, but I don't really want him either because he only dealing with me because he ain't got nobody. I'm only dealing with him because I ain't got nobody, but ain't nobody else around. Until they
placeholders.
We're not hearing that, they think that can't be the reality, but that is going to be the reality.
Yeah. So let's get into the actual video. Everybody hit the like button. Everybody hit the like button. Everybody hit the like button. And here is the video in question. And I'll just say this. This video may get blocked. I don't know, because the Breakfast Club be acting a fool with their videos. So hopefully I did what I can to keep this from affecting my live stream. So hopefully it won't do that. So here we go.
Let's do it. So the disagreeing for me came with the starting with the infertility and the market value, the appreciating. So with the infertility, I know I said this yesterday, some stuff is science, right? You can't get around that. But I feel like.
Okay, so because of the Breakfast Club, I always messing with people's videos, I'm going to have to stop every couple seconds. So let's listen to the first second.
A ladies' conversation about
Let's do it. So the disagreeing for me came with the starting with the infertility and the market value, the appreciating. So with.
All right, now she's talking about infertility in reference to market value, right? Which means, because going to what she actually said in this video,
said out loud, is that as black men age, their desirability increases. Thus, their optionality of women is always expanding. And the exact opposite is true for black women.
The opposite is true for black women.
As we age, doesn't matter how much money we accumulate, our degrees or professional accolades, the reality is that our marriage and partnership market value is depreciating with every passing year.
So that's what the young lady said. This is when she got offended, right here.
No matter how good we look, no matter how fit we are, men are still seeing primarily our presumed dwindling fertility as a knock against us.
Right there. That's what a young lady heard. And that's when she got upset.
I know I said this yesterday, some stuff is science, right? You can't get around that. But I feel like when you start with that and you lead with that, it then makes people get defensive and they don't even hear the rest of it. I know when
Let's stop right there for a second. She says when you lead with that, it causes women to get offensive. But she also said it's biology. So when you lead with biology, you get offended. She said, I understand it's biology. But when you lead with that, go ahead.
For some reason, we are having an issue as black women accepting two truths. One being that study shows we are the least desired. You can't get around that. The second being that.
Why do you think?
It's a multitude of reasons. It's not one specifically. And black men have something to do with that. You know, the admiration of our men, et cetera, et cetera. Of course, appearance goes into that. It's a lot of things that go into it. It's not just one thing, but accepting the fact that we are already the least desired, even with the youth, the foundation of youth. And the second part is accepting
hold on. That first part, Black women are the least desired. I have to add context to that because some people are going to start looking at you like, here she go. How are we? We look better than other women, right? So just to add context, so people won't do you the same way as was done to her. You're leading off. I know, I get it. We're looking at feelings. We're looking at feelings. What you said, you're leading off with something that is easily or could be easily offensive to women. Black women compared to other women are the least desired, right? Just think about that. The first thing a woman can say is, my ass is bigger than the average woman. Like I have this, I'm more of my skin, right? What that statement means with making sure that everybody understands the contextual side of least desired is not just looks. See, Black people look better than virtually every other race on the planet, right? Black men look better than other races. Black women look better than other races. But right, when it comes to desirability, you have to look at the context. Desirability is about marriage, it's about family, it's about being with somebody and not sleeping with somebody. So when it comes to Black women and Black men, we are the most sleep withable group of people, but we're not desired long term, mainly because of what comes with that sleep withable ability. And I know I just made that up. So altogether, I just wanted to stop right there so people won't get offended by what you said. We are Black men and Black women are the least desired because not just because we're attractive, it's because up here. And up here is where the problem starts and where the problem continues and where the problem I'm not going to say ends because the problem doesn't end. So I just wanted to stop right there, but go ahead.
Okay, let me just say this. I don't give a damn about offending people. That's what I'm here for.
No, I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying, but I just wanted to.
It's okay. If people choose to be offended, receive it. But in the contextual matter of Black women being desired, the ugly truth about it is Black women are gullible, not groomable. That's it. Black women are gullible, not groomable.
Yo!
That's the most simplest way I could put it. When you look at other races, this is not a Black man thing. This is not a Black man thing. This is she went and just pulled this out of her rear and her tush and she said this about Black women. No, I'm a Black woman. I have to stand in this. I have to own this. We can go and get the slimmest, most fit, most toned Black woman who is the most smartest, educated, just the all-around universal beauty. I can give you one. Kenya Moore. Kenya Moore has been in Hollywood for years. She was Miss Universe. She was like beautiful. This woman is gorgeous. Natural beauty. Long hair. Her eyes are
a box of rocks.
She's literally top of the top. She's stunning. She has more money than you could ever imagine. She's literally she's very intelligent.
Mm-hmm.
Studies show more men would prefer to date other ethnicities of women before they date an American Black woman. And that's where the desirability comes into. And because of the fact it is our mentality, again, we're gullible, not groomable. And it also comes of the hierarchy of what does she bring to me. So the secondary part of
that part, because it's not just sex.
Majority Black women don't come from airship. Majority of Black women do not come from status. Majority of Black women are not born into elitism. We do not have money. That is the other reason as to why. So, of course, being able to conform to another individual, which is why we are basically reduced down to dating Black men because we're not as adaptable to other people's cultures and we're not as adaptable to taking leadership from men in general. not just black
Mhm.
men. We're not as
Stop.
adaptable. This is
Stop right
our
there. Hold on. Hold on. Everybody hit a like button. 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 And just want to make sure y'all do understand what she's saying from a class standpoint. When it comes to actually, because when it comes to rich people or when it comes to Indian people, as an example, right? The parents are going to look at who the young person brings into to be a part of the family. Because, so, as an example, right? Say I have a rich father and I get with a black woman and say I'm from another descent, right? Say, I'm from Dubai or something, right? If I get with a black woman, my black father, my Arabian father is going to be like, whoa, what are you doing? Why are you with her? And because this woman is going to be part of one, the gene pool, two, is going to be the mother of his grandchild, and she most likely is going to misappropriate the funds given to us after he dies that most likely won't promote our legacy forward. So I just wanted to make sure that everybody got that, because you are spitting facts. So most of us don't have rich parents. Most of us don't have parents who's going to be like, no, you can't date him or her because they're going to hurt our gene pool or class. So
correct.
we just go out here. Go ahead. Yeah.
Here's another thing about our class and the gene pool. Anytime you look at interracial dating, right? Most times the male defaults to the woman's community. It's not the other way around. As much as we would love to believe so.
Elaborate.
So most times when men and women have children together and they get married, most people tend to cling to the woman's community of people because that is where the help from the children will come. Based off of her, they have a favoritism projection on her. She had the baby. This is her family. It is easier to get her family to take care of my child as it would be to get my family to help my wife. That is the connotation. I need y'all to understand me when I say this. I've seen it firsthand with my own family. It is far more easier to say, this is my sister's child. I'm going to help my sister, as opposed to it is to say, this is my nephew's child. Let me go and help my niece-in-law. Because majority of the time, the women are with the children. So when you're talking about Black women, what we see in biracial children, even they have said this, Black women tend to provide them a more rooted foundation in their culture. Because when Black men marry outside of their race, Black men go and they take their resources and then go adopt to that woman's values and they go be with that woman majority of the time. We see it with athletes all the time. They typically go and put their children in communion neighborhoods where it does not look Black, and they typically take their resources and their children start to date people that are predominantly not Black. Doesn't mean that they don't have Black people around, but predominantly they get ingratiated into other cultures. With Black women, we typically, if dating out, we still are submersed into our family culture and our family values. This becomes problematic because of the fact Black women typically are very much so
dysfunctional.
Well, not that all families are dysfunctional. We take a lot of advice and we take a lot of side ear babble from other people that don't directly correlate with what's going on in our household, and it's a direct shift.
And that's a dysfunction, is what I'm saying.
But
because if the person above us isn't dysfunctional, that ear babble would be positive.
Correct. But the issue with that is when you look at white families, right? Because I grew up in predominantly white environment, they have no problem only mingling with their cousins and their exponential family members on a need to do so basis. Church functions, family functions. Other than that, weddings, they're typically not around their everyday family. That is engraved into Black culture for us to be around our family often. We kick it on the weekend, every single weekend. That is not something that is always associated with white families. That's not something that's always associated with Asian families. Some Hispanic families do so, but
Mhm.
all in all, Hispanic families will be closely related to us as far as how we dib and dabble in our hierarchy in how Black women are communalized. So that
Okay.
is another issue. Other races of men, because they feel superior to Black people in general, they're not willing to come into our culture and let their guard down and adapt to our culture more than. So again, that puts Black women at the bottom. It's much more different if you have a Asian man going to marry into a white family. The
Yeah.
state
So
is
let me stop right there. So let me say right there. So just to make sure everybody's on the same page, when a Black man gets with a white woman, his children or their children are most likely going to be seen and taught and around
white
the
people.
white woman's children and not the Black man's, you know what I'm saying? So all together, say I got a baby, me and you together, and we have a baby, right? I'm not going to be carrying my baby around my family members and saying, the male family members, right? Hey, look at my baby. They don't care, right? They're going to pat the baby on the head and say, all right, get out of here. You are going to be the main person that's going to carry our baby around saying, look at my baby. And your family are going to be like, oh my God, let me see the baby. And next thing you know, the calls we're going to get when we're at home is going to come from your side of the family asking about the baby more than my side of the family, right? So if you were white and I was Black, that would be a positive thing from a class standpoint, and our baby would be taught and around white children versus if I was white and you was Black, and now your Black counterparts would be around our mixed baby, which from a cultural standpoint is somewhat of a problem or a potential problem, because in most Black families is one full of women, and most Black families are more dysfunctional than other races. So that means as a white man, I'm going to have to deal with your Black family instilling dumb crap into our child's brains. Go ahead. And
So
we won't go back to the video in a second.
here's another thing about that, right? Because, and this is the point where I say men don't care about women's money, right? Or our, not necessarily care about it. Our money to them doesn't matter, because you
Right.
can have a Black man with a white woman and she can be ostracized from her family, but his duty and responsibility never change. If she was with him for a monetary gain, he still has to accumulate that whether she's there or not. Bottom line. So if she was with him because he was financially stable, again, athletes, this is the best example of that. If she was with him to say, oh, well, I know he has the bag because, of course, presumed gold diggerish, then even if her family cuts her off, she can latch on to that man for some form of status.
Yeah.
The difference is if a Black woman gets with a white man who has status and who has money, in the event that him and her do not work out, she, as well as her children, could suffer from being ostracized by that man.
Right.
He has the power to go and completely disintegrate himself from those children, as well as that woman, and make it as if nothing ever happened, as well as take her name, that is his, that they share, and that could be a pit downfall that Black women take as a gamble. Because if I stay with a white man, right, then of course we know that I possibly could latch on to his name, his reputation, and his power in white supremacy because he's a white man. However, in the event that this doesn't work out, there's also the high probability of the femicide, him potentially offing everybody and making as if nothing happened, him leaving the family and going to start another family, going back to his culture, and potentially ostracizing the children as well. So there
Right.
is always not this high spoken idea or rule of thumb that when a black woman gets with a white man, she can keep his name, she can stay attached. The best example of this is Larsa Pippen. We see now Larsa Pippen has been with several different men, but she's never dropped Scottie Pippen's last
The
name.
picking his last name, right?
Never dropped his last name, and she
Mhm.
maintains that character. However, when you look at Mariah Carey, she has her own status, and she looks racially ambiguous. And
Mhm.
despite whatever her and Nick Cannon ever had going on, the only person that associates her to Nick Cannon is those children of Nick Cannon.
Black people,
But she's
and
not
yeah,
attached to everything else that Nick Cannon is doing negative. Not even the idea of him making multiple baby mamas. And it's always a differentiation that she was his wife.
I agree. So let's get back to the video, because this is important. I love how you broke all of that down, because the whole black women are the most undesired. Black women don't understand that, and
Right.
they don't see that. So
Right.
that thought process, whether it's said in your way, whether it's said in Ebony K. Williams' way, or whether it's said in my way, it's still, I don't understand, why would these people say black women are or the most undesired? Because in my community, dudes are like drooling over me because they want to have sex with you. You most likely in your community aren't around marriage-minded men, regardless of what race. And on top of that, you're mainly around your own race. And your own race wants your own race. But
And
because of
furthermore,
that,
it's
go
the
ahead.
idea of, and I hate to be this person, right? Because when saying this don't sit well in black women, saying this don't sit
Because they're
well,
black women.
right, but saying this also don't sit well because for me, it's kind of like a slap in our face. Like for me personally, not just black women, black men too. Like how you take our woman or take me as a woman and you mimic everything from us, you take everything from us. But when you get to the nitty gritty of it, it has nothing to do with looks. And that's the primary of, like, I want people to understand that you can be a good woman. You can be a beautiful woman. At the basis of this is not a look thing. This is respectability politics. And so even now when you're looking at to the stereotypical masses of what they have projected onto black women and the stereotypical masses that they have projected onto black men, that follows us. The whole, she's loud, she's aggressive, she has an attitude, she talks back, she does not respect her man, she has no respect for herself. Look at how she dresses. Look at their hair, their rude, all of these other negative attributes that have been stereotypically pushed onto black people. Even the
Whoa,
idea of our
whoa, it's not
men leading
pushed.
us.
It's
Yeah.
it's it's real.
Well, no,
Not
all of it
pushed.
isn't applicable. No, all of that's not applicable to black women in totality.
All of it is applicable to black women, not in
No,
totality, but when
not in
you look,
not in
okay,
totality.
hold on, let me stop.
And
When
the reason
you,
why I give pushback on that is because you can see some of those same mannerisms and behaviors in other women, but they
even though I
perpetuate those
understand
onto
what you're saying,
us,
Paris,
right?
Paris, Paris, I get what you're saying, but that is 1000% applicable to the majority of black women.
But
It is. So
this
hold
is
on,
why.
hold on, Perry. I get what you're saying. I got a thought that I just want to share with the audience, and everybody hit the like button. Everybody hit the like button. Everybody hit the like button. And I'm gonna read the super chats in a minute. Um, we all think we're the best or the most wanted, and I want to give y'all a scenario, right? Imagine imagine tilapia, and they have a common sense and they can talk, right? And say every time they're in this lake and it's full of tilapia, right? And they're swimming around, and every time you turn around, shoot, 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 a tilapia is being pulled out of the water by a fishing pole, right? Fishing, whatever, right? And if someone was to tell these tilapia that actually has consciousness and common sense that tilapia is the most undesired fish in America versus all these other fish, the tilapia is going to be like, that's a lie. I see tilapia being yanked out the water left and right. People can't get enough of us. I don't even want to get pulled. What are you talking about? They're the most desired because they only see what is happening in their own lake or in their own pond. They don't see what's actually happening in the ocean. They only see what's happening in this one lake. So at the end of the day, black people, to a certain degree, are tilapia. But guess what? Because we're only in this one pond, in this one lake, in this one community, in one community, we think we're the most desirable because we're getting, quote unquote, snatched up by the opposite sex left and right. But what's happening to the tilapia after they get snatched out? They get thrown back in the water. And nobody sees that. They only see the snatching. They don't see the throwing back. So in a black community, we literally are getting thrown back in the water left and right. The men and the women. The men are married a woman and then she'll divorce the man. Boom. And then the man will get with a woman and not be with her no more because he just wanted sex. Boom. We're not seeing the throwbacks. We're just seeing the snatch ups. And so when you say black women are undesirable, they just see this woman got a man, this woman got a man, or this man is all in her DMs and da-da-da-da. They're not seeing how many women are being thrown back into the community as undesirable because we don't want to see it. So let's go back to this video. I'm going to read the super chats and I'm going to get back to this video.
Give me 1 second. Let me clear up something. This is why I say like those negative attributes are stereotypes. And they're stereotypes, not because black women are not capable of behaving that way.
We're not choosing to.
No. Listen to what I'm saying. Because we hold on to these ideas, but we forget that it's imagery. The same way I can be loud, I can be aggressive, I can be rude, I can be brash. White women have the capability to do so. Latina women have the capability to do so.
They don't.
Women have the capability. Yes, they do. They do. We see it. Perfect example.
They don't.
Perfect example. Every single time we see these quote unquote Karens, what are they doing? Being loud, abrasive, rude, aggressive, and that same type of stereotype, right? That's not too. It's not. Hold on, wait a minute.
Towards black people, not towards white people.
No, that is not true. That is not true. Even in history, you saw where there were white people who were ostracized and be rude and negative to white people because they helped black people. This is a part of their character traits. So what I'm saying is it's not a stereotype because black women are capable of doing it. It's a stereotype because they only want to associate the image with black women. The same way they only like to associate the image of being a gangster or violent to black men. So that is another thing. It's not necessarily saying, oh, black women can't have an attitude. I've seen white women with attitudes. We've seen white women in the workplace who have done little.
Well, there are birds that don't fly. I understand what you're saying like that, but there's an over-encompassing issue with black women when it comes to the loud aggressiveness versus a Karen. She is called a Karen specifically because she's not like other white women. We don't have Karens.
No, she's called a Karen because she's projecting a racial bias into some form of a situation.
Towards a black person.
Listen to what I'm saying.
Racial bias.
Correct. The premise of it is not the point. The behavior is the point. So when you see a Karen, you see a loud, abrasive, rude, aggressive white woman. When you see a white woman arguing with other men and they're walking up on them in the bar when their man is somewhere around, she's all of those things. She has the ability to be that way. So the stereotype is only black women behave this way. That's why it's a stereotype. Because I'm
I can
not
understand
negating that said, I'm not saying that black
Let me say
women don't
this.
act like this, and I'm not saying that black women can't have the
It's a key
ability to be
word.
attitudey. No, I'm
It's a
not. I
key
never
word,
did.
Paris. I get
You
it,
cut
Paris,
me
Paris,
off
Paris.
before I finished. I was never saying
We got to move on, Paris. So look,
that's
look.
fine, but I wanted to correct it because I ain't
I
gonna
get
stand
you.
behind that one. We
I
all
get
got
you
to
saying. Hold on, Paris. I get it. Stereotype means overall majority group. Okay, a Karen is not a white woman. A
Yes, it is.
Karen, listen, a white woman is a white woman. A Karen is a subgroup of white woman. You get what I'm saying? A Karen is a subgroup. Hold on. Karen is a subgroup of white women. When we stereotype black women, we don't call them Keishas or we don't do that. You know, there's a Keisha, but we don't talk. We say black women. So when we hold on. That's black men. That's black men. So that Pookie and Ray Ray is a subgroup of black men. There is not necessarily a subgroup of black women. When we stereotype black women, it is black women. When we stereotype black men, it's Pookie and Ray Ray. When we stereotype white women, it is Karens. But when we stereotype black women, it's black women. So everything else is subgrouped as saying that is not the majority of black men. That is not the majority of black women. But when white women, but when you say black women, the stereotype of black women is loud, aggressive, and combative and non-cooperating. Do you understand the difference?
No, that's wrong. And it's wrong because Karen was originally derived out of the COVID when we had the pandemic due to police brutality, when we would see them walking around harassing other black people. Specifically, that term came, I'll let you finish. Specifically, the term came about when that black man was bird watching and she didn't know who he was, and he worked for Disney and the Universal Geographic. They started referring to those women as Karens, who were white people who never minded their white women specifically, who never minded their business, always walked up on black people, calling the police, acting very irrational and entitled. So the stereotype is perpetuated by using the name of white women. The white woman name of Karen, that name is commonly associated with white women. It is a stereotype that black culture, give me 1 second. Black culture use, because if you interrupt me, what's gonna happen is you're gonna have people thinking that I'm aggressive, and I'm just trying to educate. So what happens is, when this is not saying black women are not loud, aggressive, abrasive, rude. I know better. This is me saying the imagery is only to associate that with black women only. Even you have been brainwashed into thinking that other cultures of women cannot behave this way. The same way a lot of times people think other cultures of women do not wear weave. That is not just a black woman thing. The same way other cultures of women believe that only black women feel the right to want to have to be taken care of by a man. Gold digging was not incorporated from black women. So what I'm saying is the same way that they have the mafia, the same way that they have the gangs, the Italian mob and things like that. They would tell us thugs and gangsters and all this are bad, but they have actual movies that represent and praise, such as the Rockefellers. Rockefellers are embedded into American culture.
Paris, we're getting away from the topic.
No, we're not. They would tell us that only black men are a danger to society. That means that the imagery of the stereotype is only focused on us. Everybody has the ability to do.
I get it, Paris. We just gotta we can't be long-winded and everything. I get what you're saying. So going back to the stereotype, which is actually a subgroup of the Karen is usually a Karen towards black people, which you said has a racial bias to it. So with all that being said, that is not the same as a typical white woman. Black women are stereotypically loud, aggressive,
and
don't listen, and and uncooperative.
I'm agreeing.
Overall, so when I bring up black women, whether the imagery comes from, because let me agree with you on this. Let me agree with you on this. The imagery that we see of black people, whether it's the movies, Men's Society, and all these other movies, it's programming black women to be that, right? So now we have the chicken and the egg. What came first? Most likely the imagery came first, which has programmed black women to actually become what we see. I'm agreeing with you on that. But at the end of the day, regardless of what happened and how we got here, this is the reality of what we have to deal with when it comes to,
and I agree with that.
With black women. So let's go back to the video. I'm going to read the super chats. Everybody hit the like button, and everybody on Facebook, make sure to share this video because this is helpful to so many people. So Facebook, hit that share button and hit that like button, and YouTube, make sure to hit the like button. So let me go to these super chats. Jimmy James says Proverbs 21:19. It is better to dwell in the wilderness than with a contentious and angry woman. And then he comes back, same one, Jimmy Jones, Ecclesiastes, Ecclesiastes, I can't even say the word, 25:16. I have rather dwell with a lion and a dragon than keep a house with a wicked woman. And just as an example, I actually, even though that's in a proverb, but I actually can understand that, because if you think about, a dragon is in the movies, right? But if you look at in all the movies, who's worse, a dragon or a black woman? Overall, the black woman. Why? Because the only reason in these movies, I know a dragon doesn't exist. Somebody done stole something from the dragon. The dragon is sleep, right? Is always awaking the sleeping dragon, right? Somebody woke the sleeping dragon up for the dragon to be running around acting a fool and burning people to death. So overall, the thought process of a dragon is sleeping. It's guarding something. And as long as you don't mess with the dragon, awake the dragon, or steal from whatever the dragon is there to guard, the dragon ain't bothering nobody. So just make as an example, right? Then when they say I'd rather dwell with a lion and a dragon, I will pick the lion again, because like you said yourself, I want to quote you. You said black women are gullible, not groomable. A lion is groomable. So if I had a baby lion and I kept that lion fed, and I can dwell with that lion for the rest of that lion's life without ever worrying about that lion trying to eat me. Because one, that lion was groomable, we'll say, not trainable. And at the same time, as long as that lion is fed, there's no reason for that lion to actually eat me because I feed the lion. But when it comes to the lion and the dragon versus the woman, a woman operates on feelings. There's one day the woman can turn around and financially eat me, because she feels differently, because she woke up on the wrong side of the bed. So contextually, that is true with Ecclesiastes 25:16. I rather dwell with a lion and a dragon than keep house with a wicked woman. And it didn't say any woman, it said a wicked woman. And partly when it comes to the word wicked, that most likely means traumatized or in some type of way pushed into a different direction, because she had to be made wicked for whatever reason. So if a woman, just like what you said, has actually been stigmatized and programmed to be quote unquote wicked, well, there we go with the stereotypical side of Black women. And the next super chat is Soul to Soul Travel. Thank you, Soul to Soul. You are now the lead super chat, so I appreciate you for the $50 super chat. Black women around the world are desirable. That's why the women of other cultures replicate their look. So he says Black women around the world, different cultures are desirable. But it's the American feminist aggressive mindset that is attractive. I want to come home from a law firm to peace, respect, and love, i.e., the sleeping dragon that stays asleep if you don't mess with it, or the lion that actually has an understanding of hierarchy, because female lions have a total understanding of hierarchy. You don't really see female lions fighting with the male lion or with other female lions. So I agree with you on that. And shout out to Soul Travel. You are now the sponsor of this live stream. So let's go back to the video because everybody's looking for this. So here we go.
A ladies' conversation about
Let's do it. So the disagreeing for me came with starting with the infertility and the market value, the appreciating. So with the infertility, I said this yesterday, some stuff is science, right? You can't get around that. But I feel like when you start with that and you lead with that, it then makes people get defensive and they don't even hear the rest of it. I know when I first listened to it,
so right here,
I was like, oh God, this is going to be another one of those conversations where like someone's.
Oh God, it's going to be one of those different conversations. Oh God, this is going to be one of those different conversations. Let me say this. Oh God, this is going to be one of those conversations. We have to have those conversations. And this is the problem with our women. They don't want to have these conversations. It's always, oh my God, here we go. Like the world isn't about bunnies and flowers. It's all about, oh my God, we're going to have. It's like eat your vegetables. You can't sit around eating candy, ice cream, and chicken all day. You got to eat vegetables. Oh God, I got to eat the vegetables. So real quick, and I want to go to you, Paris. We seek content that confirms how we feel about either ourselves or the opposite sex. So when women run into content that says something that we disagree with, it no longer is confirming what we feel about ourselves or the opposite sex. So if I think all women, or like we're talking about, let's just say another group of women is terrible, and in Paris, you come in here, and I think Black women are the queens of the universe, right? That's my confirmation bias. And then I come on this live stream, and I hear Paris say, or hear Miss Let Go say that Black women are the most undesirable. The first thing people are going to turn around and say is, oh my God, what is this person talking about? Even with going to the super chat of Soul to Soul Travel, Black women around the world are desirable. That's why women from other cultures replicate their look, right? That actually is exactly what we were talking about. Because I literally said up here is where the undesirability is. Black people, men and women, look better than other cultures. That's not the problem. So I'm agreeing with you. Black women all around the world are desirable because of how we look. But once we walk up to them and start talking to them, now there's an issue. Go ahead. Paris?
Oh, I was saying that that's not the issue at all when you're talking about desirability, but
Yeah.
she actually agreed with Ebony when she said you can't get around culture. You can't get around science. And Ebony mentioned biology, right? Like the idea is a lot of these celebrity women, because we now have easier reach to them now, some of them respond back to comments. You can now get a blue check, right? So because they made it seem as if they're more reachable, them having children later, them putting their resources into things, extending out the research and giving people the options such as surrogacy, and stuff like that, gives people this manufactured version of hope. You can do it too.
Yes.
You can wait. And the reality is surrogacy is very difficult. And the older you are, 35 plus, your pregnancy is considered a geriatric pregnancy. Could you have? Is it possible? Yes, you absolutely can have healthy children after 35 plus. It is possible, but it is harder. It has been proven to show fertility issues. It has been proven to show higher miscarriages and disabilities amongst the babies. Now, the thing about Black women is, of course, we got the God gene, and the lifestyle of us looks a lot different than other people. But when you factor in all of the great benefits, a lot of that is watered down because we have the most unhealthiest form of our lifestyle. We know that top 5 things that Black women die from are health issues. The top 5 are all health issues. So even looking at that, the financial aspect of it, right? People gain money as they get older, but average Black woman can't afford a surrogate. Average Black woman can't afford substantial health care. So looking at all those things, they provide a falsehood of hope, because she agreed with her. Like, scientifically, this is not something you can get around. But this is what's going into my second point. You can't start off as the least desirable and then start making the assumption that your desirability gets better with age. That does not happen. So that was my second point. Desirability decreased significantly in everyone as they age. But it is a huge difference between women and men desirability, and it's also a huge difference based off of the livelihood, because other factors are inclusive. Most Black women, by the time that they're the age of 35, will have a baby. Most of them, over 2/3. Most Black women, of course, by that time, if they haven't had 2 children, right? Like, most times, if a woman has not been married, her chances of getting married decreases as she gets older as well. So it's not impossible, but if you're talking about high caliber Black women, if you're talking about women who make 6 figures, their dating pool already, as of today, is very, very shallow for a man who makes what they make, because most Black men, if that's who she's looking to date, are already married if they make 6 figures.
Yep. Most of us, if we got money, we have a specific demographic of women that we want, or we're already married. So Albert says we are the only people that publicly speak negatively of our own. And the reason for you feeling that, because I'm not going to go against that, is because we are the most problematic group, and we have to come together and have these conversations. Other people, they organize or already are organized. We have a problem with organization. So we end up getting to the point. See, the organization is usually the household, right? So most of us as Black people don't have a household. It's a woman and some children. That is not a family, and that is not an organization. And there is no organization within that non-organization. So the reason why we publicly have to talk about these things, because there is no organization within our own households. Even when Okay. Even when, as you know, there's a what happens in this house stays in this house. That has a negative connotation when it comes to black people. When it comes to other people, I don't know. But when it comes to black people, the reason why that is what it is, we don't talk about what happens in his household, usually because somebody's getting emmed, somebody's getting r'd, or the leader of the household is doing something dysfunctional that is hurtful. And if that comes out, the image of the leader of the household, which is usually a woman, her image is going to be shitted on. So altogether, the reason why we publicly talk about these things, because of so much trauma and problematic behavior is happening in the is happening privately, and we have to bring the private issues out publicly because the parents, the families are not talking about this within their own family unit. Go ahead.
So I disagree with Aaron and I disagree with you. The reason why we talk about, first and foremost, Black people are not the only ones talk about this. One of my favorite podcasts is I've Had Enough. These are two middle-aged married white women who discuss everything wrong in white culture. If you've never heard of it before, it's on YouTube. And I promise you, they're talking about their children. They're talking about their husbands. They're talking about men. They're talking about dating. They're talking about women that they work with. They're talking about every single thing that could perpetually be the same thing, just like us. They're talking about it. One of my favorite podcasts, very funny. Now, the reason as to why you guys don't see that is because you curate your algorithm to me and mainly Black people. So, of course, it's very easy for you to pretend that this is only happening in Black culture. But when you check news headlines, it is showing you that Hispanic people going through the same thing, Asian people going through the same thing, white people going through the same thing. It don't matter.
Do they talk about it publicly?
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. And not even just publicly, right? Like the same way I can go pull an article for a divorced Black person, the same way I can go pull an article for another divorce of them, the same way I can go pull an article that says this person was domestically abused in this culture, this person is doing the same thing. I can go find it. The issue is, again, we cultivate our social media to look like you said yourself. You said women go and they find things, people in general go and find
confirmation
things
bias
that confirm their bias. That's exactly what that is. So please stop believing this idea for the person that you read off. Stop believing this idea that it's only Black people. The second thing is majority of the relationship talk anywhere. I don't care if it was Cosmopolitan. I don't care if it was Ebony. I don't care where it was. Majority of the relationship talk is centered around a monetary gain for women. The reason as to why these conversations are happening is because people have found out that this markets actual conversation. Aside from money, sex, the next thing people like to talk about is relationships. The only difference is Black people relationship dynamics look a lot different than everybody else because of the very reason Mr. Lego said, which was family. So do we have an issue with organization? Absolutely. But we are having these conversations because there has been something called social media that is put into the algorithm. And when they do not want to sell you anything, they start talking about real life activities that matter. And you know what real life activities that matter right now that they can market their money off of? Dating, relationships, sex, finances. Which is why you have sites like Bumble, which is why Facebook now has Facebook dating, which is why they say, oh, if you're looking to meet someone, you find them on such platform, which is why they have this whole connotation around Snapchat being a data's marketing and a sex pool and why children shouldn't use it. So a lot of times when we're talking about these things, we're talking from a concentrated bias.
So
it's not true at all.
So let's take a quick commercial break real quick.
You and other players, deep understanding of how we all deal with relationships. Deeper Discussion card game is meant to give you and other players deep understanding of how we all deal with relationship, when or if things get serious. One of the biggest reasons why people break up is because of underlying family issues. This game can be played with either two people or an entire group. So have fun.
Question number 1. What is the one thing you wanted but didn't receive when you were young? Name a time when money was the main factor while a relationship went bad.
Deeper Discussions Dating Edition. Again, these cards are good for vetting a potential boyfriend,
Candidate.
a potential girlfriend, a potential husband, a potential wife. It'll even tell you what's wrong with your sneaky link. If you and your sneaky link need to have a conversation, these are the cards. Actually, these cards are so soft and silky, by the way. Like
They ain't gonna get
really
wore out. after you-
durable.
A dating card game for introverts who have a hard time asking the much needed compatibility questions. Deeper Discussions, the card game.
Okay, so let's go back to the Eboni K video.
Telling me as a woman, by the time you get this age, your life is over.
What?
So listen to what she said. This is another problem.
It's going to be another one of those conversations where like someone's telling me as a woman, by the time you get this age, your life is over.
What? Bro, what are you talking about, man?
And
So right here, she says, okay, I always say this. Women don't listen, they interpret. Okay. So what she literally just said was, listen to this. We're gonna break this part down.
the rest of it. I know when I first listened to it, I was like, oh God, this is going to be another one of those conversations where like someone's telling me as a woman, by the time you get this age, your life is over.
What?
Okay, so let's go back to what she says. In actuality,
Fertility, that is another reason that I want younger black women to seek marriage and partnership in college or right after, if that's what they choose. Because the number of college-educated black men is so low when compared to black college-educated women that we're all going to be targeting the same small pool of men. And as we heard today, on most campuses, there's like 7 black women students for every 1 black man student.
that's true.
Y'all do the math. So here's my advice. If you are a young black woman in college and you know in your heart and in your head that you want to prioritize family.
So right here, she says, if you are a young black woman in college, and she adds to that and says, and you know in your heart that you want to get married. So how in the world is that interpreted as I'm never going to have somebody and my life is over?
I suggest that you simultaneously pursue that MRS degree right along with that BA or JD. Because the handful of black college-age men that actually do desire to get married soon, and they do share that value system, and family is a priority for them too, y'all, that is an incredibly small pool, and it's shrinking as.
And the reason why the pool is shrinking, we're going to go back to the video. The reason why the pool is small or shrinking is because those who really don't know what Eboni K is saying, she's actually trying to still dig at black men. But what she fails to understand is the majority, I would say half of us black men went to trade school or didn't go to college at all and are still able to make over $100,000 a year. So that's the thing. I went to avionics school. I'm not an aircraft mechanic, but I went to school for aircraft mechanics. And if I would have continued, which I didn't, I would have easily, to this day, would still be making over $100,000 a year. And I would have been making at least about $40,000, $50,000 a year when I graduated back when I was, 19. So we black men know not to go to college unless we want to be a doctor, a lawyer, or engineer, and probably 3 other particular things. We can go to trade school and get what we want. A friend of mine went to diesel mechanic school. He's a millionaire now. Another friend of mine is an electrician. So we all, and I'm on social media, and we all make way over $100,000 a year. And none of us went to college. So people don't realize that she was trying to make a dig on black men, like, oh, these black men are you need to get you, but at the end of the day, we don't have to. But even though I heard the dig on black men, I heard the entire point she was trying to make. And it wasn't about black men, it was geared to help black women. So who am I to interpret what she said as a dig on black men, which it actually was? Because the overwhelming side of what she said was speaking to black women and helpful to black women. And that is an example of not interpreting what she said as something triggering and confrontational or whatever. But that's what it really was. She keeps saying that black men aren't going to college. So what are we black women supposed to do? She says it in every video. But guess what? This is the first time he's saying something about it, because I don't interpret certain things as problematic. I take what she said and try to make it into something that can potentially be helpful. But go ahead, and we won't go back to the video.
I will say this. We like so much education around what black people, and I'm not talking about going to sit in somebody's actual classroom, getting a certificate of completion to say you know these things. We like a lot of education around what black men's history as far as their work behaviors are. One being that black men, before anybody else, used to have the highest trades in this country. Blacksmiths in this country, blue collar jobs in this country. What happened was, of course, a lot of white wealth got disintegrated due to affirmative action. And when there became a class system due to affirmative action and the crime bill implemented, along with us having welfare, it pushed black men out of a lot of these jobs, which is why even now on paperwork, if they ask you if you're a felon, right? But they don't talk about the fact that even in the prison system, black men are getting trades. But well before then, black men used to be the most numbered of blacksmiths and the most numbered of truck drivers. And when they started bringing in a lot of money, even down to the mail system, black men used to be the most mail carriers. Work down at the mail office, you take care of your family for years. All you need is one check. Those jobs have now been pushed out, and they're not marketed to black men anymore, right? And so, of course, the idea is if he doesn't go to college, he is not a good man. We need to change that narrative.
Thank you.
Even K. Williams needs to stop putting that narrative out. I did a video of my own. Of course, if you want me to, we can get it up here about Eboni K. Williams and how she feels about dating the bus driver. So she does use that.
If you got it.
I got it. She uses that specific sentiment. I got you. A lot of times in her arguments and commentary. I will say this. In this particular situation, she was not wrong. Because what she did was give the women a choice, but the woman who was speaking to her, again, she listened to be offended. And she said, if this is what you choose, you need to prioritize this. But you know what the women will listen to? Girl, you young, go out and have fun. Just don't have no kids. She also never said that you should have children if you're young and in college. She said, and this is what you choose to go do. Get you a man who is in college while you have the opportunity. She never even put a time frame on when you to get married. But she said that this is your end goal. Go to college, not to just get the degree. Also go to college in order to obtain and maintain a relationship. You will learn how to do both there. Because if you can juggle schoolwork under that stress and duress, and then you can also juggle a relationship, when you start working, not only will you have a partner to go through it with, but you can juggle the relationship as well as the stress and duress of having a regular adulthood life. Adulting in college is the same as adulting without it. So the message got missed. The message got missed heavily. She did take a dig at black men. I'm not going to dismiss that. But she was basically telling women, if this is what your choice is. She never said stop life. She never also said, don't go and have a baby or go get married. She said, if this is what you want to do, I expect you, and you should start prioritizing this when in college. Don't start later in life. That was the big. Prioritize it in college. Don't prioritize it later in life.
Right. So let's go back to the video. Let me know when you got your video brought up, and I'll just hit present, and then let me know.
I got you.
First listened to it, I was like, oh God, this is going to be another one of those conversations where like someone's telling me as a woman, By the time you get this age, your life is over.
What? Bro, what are you talking about, man?
And you know, when you're trying to figure things out and you're like, I'm 31 years old, right? Like, I'm recently out of a very long relationship. You know, as a
Right there. I'm recently out of a very long relationship. Y'all hear that, right? I'm recently out of a very long relationship. And I can only assume very long relationship means at least 3 to 4 to 5 years long, right? Not a 1 to 2 year long relationship. So overall, when you look at that, she is admitting that she is at fault for allowing a man to put her in a placeholder position, because a lot of times when men are with women for a long period of time, they're placeholders. And as a placeholder, he's never going to marry you. So you have to have a certain amount of requirements and standards and let that man know, even at the young age of 30, because she says she's 31, hey, there is a shelf life on this relationship. So it's either going to move towards marriage or it's going to end. So not only do a woman's fertility have a shelf life, a relationship has a shelf life also that women have no understanding of, because in most cases, they are raised by mothers and not fathers. Any man would tell their daughter, hey, why are you still with this dude? Is this man going to marry you? He's going to pull the man to the side, or is he going to pull the daughter to the side like, yo, what y'all doing? But when you don't have a father, nothing happens. And time just goes by, you know, like how a child gets older.
Woman, as a Black woman, right, especially working in the space that I work in, I might not get that other chance. Like, I gotta do it right the first time. But I just feel like when you lead with the stuff that you lead with, it instantly turns the conversation negative. And for someone like me,
it easily turns the conversation negative. Why? What? Like, let me say this.
Why is marriage and family and a woman being married negative? That's the question. Why is marriage
you're not going to get married and not get this in her mind. Her interpretation of what, because she said it, in her interpretation of what she said is, Eboni K. Williams said, I'm never going to get married and get a man because of fertility and stuff like that. So let me say this. I talked about confirmation bias, but this young lady immediately feels attacked by her own failures in her own relationship because that's the actual issue. Women feel like in their own life, they're failing. All right. And I said it in this video right here in the beginning. Either ruin her own life. That part right there. The typical mom who either ruined her own life or just never got married, or however you want to call it. That part right there makes women feel like, oh my God, he's talking to me, because I know I ruined my own life in my own mind. So when something sounds like, when it says something in that fashion of women have ruined their own life by having a baby or having this or doing this or putting college first and not getting married, they're like, oh my God, I ruined my own life, right? You may have. A man can ruin his life by going to prison, but that is not meaning that that man or woman would never get what they want. They just got to work a little harder for it. So the actual problem with our women is that our women are only receptive to feeling advice and not doing advice. She literally says, I feel like, in that video, she said it over and over again. I just feel like, your feelings don't necessarily matter to a certain degree. It matters in certain contexts, but overall, women think that their feelings matter in every single situation. So when you give feeling advice, it's, oh my God, thank you, I love you, da 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 da. But when you give doing advice, which is don't have babies without being married, don't prioritize college over marriage. Those are doing things. And whenever you tell a black woman what to do versus how to feel or how you should feel, she's going to get offended, because you instruct women on how to feel something vague like love yourself, she's okay. And that's the biggest problem. Women only want to hear feeling advice. Say again.
They always champion girl date multiple men. Girl,
well, hoeing is a feeling and not a doing when it comes to women. It's a feeling of what is the word? What is the word? Self whatever. Yeah, self-gratification. So hoeing isn't doing. Hoeing is a feeling, because do what you want to do. And if hoeing is one of those things, it's okay. Does that make sense?
Yeah. But I'm agreeing with you. And I just find, like I said, I find it all to be quite strange to me, because here's the thing. I don't think that a lot of black women have admitted or accepted their reality, because we all look at our proximity, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we use that as an example to say what you are eligible for. But even
Keyword
down
eligible.
to
Yes.
correct. So the idea that so many women are dead set on believing that I can still have this, I can still, I can get married, and if I have a baby, I can have 5 kids, and there will still be a man who wants me, because I know a woman who had 5 kids, and there's still a man who wants her. Not recognizing the fact that what that woman may have wanted out of a man, or what she may be dealing with in a man, don't look nothing like you. Or the idea that you can get married and you can still be a single mom, and getting married don't guarantee you to be a actual not single parent.
Mm-hmm.
Let me say this. Once black women accept that we are not the exception to the rule, we will be okay. And what I mean by that is, if you know you are the least desired demographic due to whatever reason, and you also know that you did not obtain a longevity relationship in college, and you're not currently on the path for marriage or a family or whatever the case may be, or if you already have had a broken family, you must remember the numbers are not in our favor. The same way that we have recognized we have been conditioned to be this way, the men that we want have also been conditioned to be this way. The best thing you can do is vet a man accordingly who's willing to run through the fire with you. Literally. He don't want to pull out when it gets too hot. And you don't want to pull out when it gets too hot, because we know how that goes. But I understand this as a quote unquote woman who don't weaponize my degree, but a very educated black woman. I understand. Even though I come from a 2-parent household, I am an anomaly all across the board. The numbers are not in my favor. Majority of black men that I've been involved with did not come from a 2-parent household. And majority of black men that I have been involved with, even after me, still did not end up married. So again, this is conditioning. Once you accept this, right, you can prep for your reality. Because what we were not able to prep for was the long-term effects of welfare. We was not able to prep for the long-term effects of the crime bill. We were not able to prepare for the long-term effects of what it looks like to have a broken home. But we can prepare for this now, because now we know. Now we know what it looks like to co-parent. We can have a plan just in case. Now we know what it looks like in order to.
And the plan turns into the plan.
Correct. But the initial plan is still marriage, right? That's what the initial plan should be. The initial plan should still be.
Not with black women.
Well, listen, what I'm saying is the initial plan should always still be marriage. You should want your children to be able to reap the fruits of you being with a person that you chose to bear children with. I don't think black women take having babies serious enough. I don't think we do. We do it at will, whatever. My womb is very valuable. And we really understood how important it was to preserve our body for a man who was going to honor and protect and honor and stand in his duty. We would do it less. However, even for a woman who understands that, I also understand I am not an exception to the rule. I'm no better than the next black woman who only wants to date black men at a high caliber status to end up a single mother. I am also no better than another black woman to understand as I get older, this may not be my reality to be married. But that does not mean I start acting in the adverse and doing whole shit and start telling younger girls negative things because that's not my reality. You look at the numbers, you apply specifically, and you understand. Another thing, I live in Dallas. DFW, Dallas was the number one. Fort Worth was the number two hardest city for people to have an actual relationship in. It is the first two cities on the top of the list that says they have the most infidelity. When you consider all these factors, especially women who live in Atlanta, you have to come to grips with your reality. If you can't accept your reality, everything else is gonna feel like an attack on you.
So why do you think women, and we're gonna go back to the video, why don't you think women accept their own reality, whether they made mistakes or whether it's just black women altogether? Why is it that the reality of a black woman, her life or the way it goes or the way it doesn't go, she can't accept her reality or receive it?
Again, the two things. You can tell a black woman this is what's happening, and she'll counteract and say, well, this is not what I see. So
well, I feel like,
it's proximity to her experiences. First thing that people respond to is their experience.
Go ahead.
Thing is them seeing other examples of people who have had bad behavior getting rewarded. And they will always use those people as a catalyst for representation. My best and my favorite one, Sierra Princess Harris Wilson. She knowingly was the fourth baby mama. And she went and married a man, elevated, and she became his second wife. People leave that part out. They love to pretend like Russell was married before her to a white woman. They love pretending that
white woman.
Russell was already married.
Hold on. Somebody says unpack that statement. Can you elaborate what statement you're saying? Unpack what statement, Sherry? Because I just want to make sure the audience is understanding of everything. So what? But go ahead.
I got low iron, so sometimes I be eating ice. But you know that though. You know that already. But
all y'all got low iron.
Yeah, I take iron pills though, because I be working out and stuff. So I do my due diligence of taking care of myself. I'm a fit black woman. I be in the gym, baby. But the second thing is Sierra. Women use her as their biggest draw for. I have no idea why. Because when you look at all the other women who actually have status, they don't have her story at all. Even when you consider all the women that are around Sierra, I can tell you who her real friends are that's in the industry. Kelly Rowland, Lala Anthony, what is Kobe Bryant's Vanessa Bryant's current Vanessa Bryant, Kobe's wife, Kim Kardashian. Those are Sierra actual friends in the industry. None of those women have her story. All of them have only been married one time except Kim Kardashian. And even Kim Kardashian, she only has all of her children by one man. That is not Sierra's story. So you can't use Sierra as a
terrible friends, though. I just want to say. I mean,
no, not Kelly Rowland. I don't think so. Not Vanessa. I don't think so.
Kelly Rowland is a problem.
I don't think so.
Kelly Rowland, Lala, all of those women are problematic women. But go ahead. But it's just a level of problematicness. But yeah, they are problematic,
right? In retrospect, I think that when we're
Kelly Rowland can't keep a man to save her life. Lala Anthony is out here having sex, sleeping with 20 years. Oh, she's remarried?
She's only been married once.
She's married?
Yeah. Kelly Rowland is married.
Okay.
Her husband's name is Tim. Her and Tim have two boys together.
Okay, never mind. I was thinking about Moesha. Never mind. Go ahead.
No,
Go
I'm
ahead.
not talking about Brandy. That's not her
I was
friend.
talking about Brandy. Never mind. I got
Kelly
Kelly
Rowland
Rowland mixed up with
her-
Brandy, y'all. So sorry, but go ahead.
Yeah. Kelly Rowland is her real friend, and Kelly Rowland is married. Her husband works with her. And like I said, Vanessa Bryant, her husband was Kobe. You
Okay.
know, so and she's always kept a great reputation. It ain't been stained or anything like that. Even now, you don't hear Vanessa being, slandered or anything. She fight for her husband's legacy even after death.
Mm.
But
Okay.
what we see is Sierra, to a degree, perpetuating Black stereotypical baby mama type, thing. Even like she just recently had the interview with the Shade Room and they asked her about co-parenting. Her response to that was an uncomfortable laugh. So Sierra is the catalyst of representation because a lot of them share that story. I've been the baby mama. I've been the third, fourth, fifth baby mama.
That part.
However, they use her as the champion to say there's a tunnel at the end of the rainbow. She's older than Russell.
Tunnel at the end of the rainbow.
He has more money than her, but he also came in and righted the wrong. He almost like quote unquote erased the stain.
Yeah, he saved her.
Exactly. We know if her and Russell had not been together, Future would be on child support. Bottom line.
Right.
She was fighting child support when she met Russell. Bottom line. But
so let's go back to the video.
For sure. I got the other video too.
Oh, you ready? Okay. So let me play this.
And learning and listening to you, it makes it where now I am defensive. I don't want to watch, listen, and learn. I don't hear the rest of what you're saying. So now I'm not being taught, and I should feel like I can listen to you and learn from you and not feel like.
Now watch what happens next. Watch what happens next.
Like you're the op.
That you had a reaction to my commentary that was so visceral in nature that you actually shut down your listening comprehension skills.
So this is something going back to this video here. Just think about the shutting down of listening comprehension skills for whatever reason. Who either ruined her own life or just never got married or however you want to call it. To a certain degree, she's going to look at her daughter or one of her children to take care of her. And in order for this to transpire in the next 10 years, because mom may be 40, she may be okay. She may be out here with the rest of everybody, right? Trying to find somebody. But in the future, when she turns 50, when she turns 60, she already knows her opportunities or options are going to decrease because she's getting older. And the first thing people in those comments, because that's on my page, people in those comments is like, oh my God, what is he talking about? I spoke straight facts, but simply because I said a woman who has ruined her own life and chose not to get married, she's automatically, oh my God, he's, you know what I'm saying? So let's go back to the video.
Yeah.
Same thing happened here.
So because of that,
they literally stopped listening.
Right? I'm not going to sit in a posture of ownership because you made a choice to be limited in the way in which you received and processed the information. Now, you are a grown woman and you have autonomy over what you choose to consume and what you choose to not consume. So
that part, you have autonomy over what you consume and you have autonomy over what you don't consume. And the problem is, on top of that, you still would keep watching and then would comment and be mad instead of going about your business. You know why women do this, Paris? It's because they know it's true and they don't want it to be true. So because they don't want it to be true, this man or this woman must be stopped. Going back to Ayala Van Zandt, perfect example. If all these dysfunctional women did not like watching Ayala Van Zandt's content or her show, why are they giving her death threats instead of not tuning in? Because this woman has to be stopped, right? Because women don't want their reality to be shown to other people. They want people to think that black women have this amazing life. So when they see them, they revere that woman as like, oh, I wish I was a black woman. But when you uncover the veil or pull back the veil of dysfunction that is in the typical black woman's life, because you got to understand, the overall image of black women are one way or the other. And black women, and I disagree with you on this. You said the majority of black women are not these dysfunctional things. And I say the majority of black women are these dysfunctional things, right? So me and you have two different ways of seeing the over-encompassing thought process of black women. So black women look to try to make their image different, but they don't live the different image. Is only an image. So if a woman, black woman in particular, lived a better life and didn't have these dysfunctional issues, she would tune out to Iyanla or whoever, or either would say, damn, I'm glad Iyanla is helping those women over there because they need the help. They don't care about that. They don't want any woman to get help. They don't want any woman to have a different reality, because then she would be alone in her dysfunction. It's like a crab in a barrel. So women trying to give death threats to you, like you said, death threats to Iyanla, is these crab women who are saying, yo, I don't want anybody to do better, because if they do better, guess what? I'm now alone in my own dysfunction. So overall, black women as a whole, the dysfunctional black women in particular, not the married black women, they have the want and the need to stop any person on TV or on social media that is exposing the problematic life and behavior of our black women, single motherhood, all of it, so they can continue being dysfunctional without anybody saying anything about it. And let's look at your video.
I got you. Give me 1 second.
It's a visceral need. Oh, you got it?
Mm-hmm.
Ready?
No, give me 1 second.
Everybody hit the like button, hit the like button, hit the like button. And if you're on Facebook, make sure you share this video. If you have already shared this video and you're on Facebook, hit like, hit done. Share this video and hit done. You got it?
Okay. It's coming up.
Okay. All right, we waiting on the video to show up right now from what Paris said. Is it coming?
You may have to add it to the studio because I can't do it.
Hold on, let me see. Okay, well, let's keep looking at this video and I see it.
Bus driver slid across my desk, so let's go ahead and get straight into it. Eboni K. Williams and her hot take about why she wouldn't date bus drivers slid across my desk, so let's go ahead and get straight into it. Eboni, if this reaches you, I do want to be the first person to tell you they're not upset at your preference. They're upset at the fact that you're a hypocrite, and I'm kind of perturbed that you couldn't understand it as a lawyer. However, I'd be more than happy to break it down to you, and I did go ahead and take my notes. First things first, you can't speak for black men on behalf of them unless you are a black man. Although we are black women and we stand next to them, we share very different, even mirrored experiences here in America. Let's get that out the way. Secondly, all of us ain't on your side as a black woman. Shout out to the young one. Anywho, since she brought it up, we're going to stick to the topic, which is black culture and education, tailored specifically around black men and boys. And a few key terms to remember in my lesson today is going to be average, hypocrisy, bigotry, coddling, and white supremacy. Let's go ahead and run the numbers in the definition, shall we? Bus drivers on average make anywhere from $30,000 to $55,000. They do need a CDL, which could be considered a higher form of education. In 2021, they made on average $37,540. Keep that in mind. On average today, a man who is black with an associate's degree makes $34,930, and if he has a master's or higher, he makes approximately, on average, $53,340.
So think about that. A college graduate with a bachelor's degree is only making $50,000 a year.
2012, a study was done where it revealed black boys specifically from kindergarten to college receive harsher punishments, lower grades, and lesser attention in the educational system despite their socioeconomic background. Those numbers still hold true today. In 2023, this year, Jaylen Brown wrote an article on CNN and posted it, cited by the Lumina Foundation of Higher Education, where it implicated black people actually have the lowest completion rates of any higher education or certificate program, due to racial discrimination being the first one, or any other racial group. So what you're speaking to is actually white supremacy and redlining. Per the definition of bigotry, it states obstinate or unreasonable attachment to a belief, opinion, or affection, in particular prejudice against a person or on the basis of their membership of a particular group. In this particular situation, you would be considered a bigot, Ebony. Per the studies that I gave, that wouldn't be considered coddling at all. It's actually called systematic racism, and the prison and pipeline system was bred from it. Along with the fact, I find it kind of ironic that you have all of these standards for black men on this elitist mentality, Sir Bergios and better. However, you chose to almost get married to a white man, and the only reason why it didn't work out is because he chose his kids over you. And I'm really not the one to diss preferences or standards that people have for oneself, but I will say that the merit of you trying to gaslight those men was kind of impeccable, considering the fact you called them all C&D average students, and you insinuated that you knew exactly why they behaved the way that they do or chose the profession that they chose. And also, as far as the massaging of the feelings, I'm really not one to massage feelings, so I hope you didn't take this to heart.
I can't hear you. You on mute.
Okay, thank you. I didn't even see that. So the one thing I got from that is that we are C students. We didn't go to college, but we still make more money than y'all. 11% of black men make over $100,000 a year. No, I'm sorry, 16%. 16% of black men make over $100,000 a year. And at least half of that group did not go to college. 11% of black women make over $100,000 a year. You know how they love to say black women are that? Only 11% of black women make $100,000 a year. There are more black women on the planet than there are black men. So when it's 16% of black men, it's 16% of the lower amount of black men. It's almost half the amount of black men as there are black women. So if it's so many black women that makes, you know what I'm saying? So we can keep going and going and going, but the majority of those women had to go to college to make that $100,000 or more a year. And because they went to college means they have student loans that black men don't have. And the majority of us black men were or are C students. Because we don't
what I mentioned in regards to the red line, the systematic oppression. Like, people will never discuss the fact that they actually implemented more ways around giving black women free money to go to school so that they wouldn't have black men in school, to make it more difficult for black men to actually afford to be able to go to school. And of course, again, it's backfiring, right? Because we all know just because you went to college don't mean you educated. But I will say, in regards to this whole entire topic, Ebony was spot on. And maybe it came out of, a little form of regret. Maybe it came out of a little form of experience. Maybe it just came from a right place. Like, maybe who knows what her intentions were. But I am happy that she used her platform in order to be able to push the conversation into that direction, because we many times see many different podcasters and we see many different influencers say, "Fuck a nigga, I don't need him. Get money."
Yeah.
Da 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 da. But these women walking around with their hand out. So do you not need a man or do you need one? Right? You know, or we see
Well, hold on. Let me stop that. Let me stop there. They need a man, but it's in the form of the government. So the context of a man is important to, bring up because they need a man in the form of the government. But go ahead.
overall, right? Like I said, her intentions behind that message was correct. And it's good when we start to assess things because even when people was like, "Oh, she's talking about the bus drivers," when you talk about the bus, no, Ebony was saying that she would not date a bus driver. Then she went to use black men as the reason as to why, using their same stats, numbers, etc. This is what she's done multiple times. So I can make the inference and say she had some form of a prejudice against black men. Her previous fiance was a
Oh yeah,
white. Her previous
yeah.
fiance was a white man. But
Hmm.
when what she was saying in regards to black women, that's not a abnormal truth. She's just not the first person to say it. Kevin Samuels was saying it before he died.
Hmm. Totally agree. So it's the need, it's the insatiable need to crap on black men in any type of way that they can, you know? And the reason why, and I said this in another video, this is the main reason why our black women feel the way they feel about black men. Is mainly because of this. They grew up watching their brothers get everything that they wanted. Their brothers was able to go outside, play, and when their brother, their sibling came home, because she wasn't able to go outside, she couldn't go outside. She had to wash the dishes, cook the food, wash the clothes, pick up after her brother, and make sure her bedroom was perfect, but her brother's bedroom was a pigsty. She didn't understand why her brother got so much beautiful, loving treatment, because we all know that fathers raise their sons but love their daughters. But on the other side, mothers raise their daughters and love their sons. So the mothers were seeing, I mean, the daughters seeing their mothers love their brother, but raise her and treat her like a slave almost, while her brother can run around, do whatever he wanted to do. And now that we are adults, simply because we as humans try to live out our own lives, our own childhoods as adults, she now looks at other black men as her sibling, her brother. And she feels this insatiable need to literally compete with black men because she doesn't understand how her brother got so much preferential treatment from her mother, and it still resonates with her when she sees men. So next thing you know, you turn around and look at everything and say, yo, this is not fair. And it's an anger and pure unadulterated hatred sometimes for black men, simply because we get different treatment. But it's not that we get different treatment from the white man. We get different treatment from other black men. Because white America gives y'all preferential treatment. But right in our faces, black men love each other. Black men treat other black men better than we treat black women. It was even a video that was going viral for a while. Ace talked about it. A lot of different people talked about it. How it's almost like black men love other men or tolerate other black men or want to be around other black men more than they want to be around women. So next thing you know, that's why every time you turn around, oh, y'all gay, y'all this, y'all that, because it's a need to feel like, why am I not getting treated fairly? I wasn't getting treated fairly by my own mother, but now other men get hierarchy over women. Y'all must be gay. But go ahead.
I disagree with that. And I feel like this is one of those internet conversations where somebody said it one time and everybody thought it made sense. And so everybody keeps saying it. A black boy being allowed to go outside has nothing to do with favoritism.
No. It's perceived as favoritism.
I'm just giving my thoughts.
Mm-hmm.
In retrospect, right, that's really neglect.
Yes.
If you allow your teenage boy to go out, do whatever he want to do, but you're letting your daughter sit at home and she has to be responsible. She's learning about house care duties. She has to do her homework and be accountable for her education. She is actually being the privileged and favored child. She is being coddled. She is being protected, learning how to clean up her home, learning how to manage and budget. She's close-knit to the family. Mm-hmm. Most of the time, those boys were outside. They were outside getting into trouble.
Yep.
They were outside running the streets. They were outside making babies. And nobody saw it. Even the inherent prejudice. I don't believe the inherent prejudice comes from them watching their brothers. Some black women don't have brothers. I believe that inherent prejudice comes from them having some form of hatred towards their father. Most black kids who have a single parent, when they get older, the narrative is always, I don't need my dad, I had my mama. My mama been my dog. That's my tea lady. That's right, wrong, indifferent. That's my mama. That's my partner. When I get out the hood, I'm by my mama's house. That's how black people who grew up in this situation, the causation and the effect of the welfare system and the prisoner pipeline system, that's what they think about black women. We can't do wrong. So the bullying that comes up with women such as like Yana Vincent, I don't like to include myself because y'all can bully me. But even if you were trying to use me as a catalyst to say, oh, she's being bullied, et cetera, because she has an opinion differently, it comes up because black women who think that way, they want to shift the narrative and polish us. You can only believe that black women are being mistreated. You can only believe that black women are doing things upright and upstanding. You can only believe that black women are working hard. And it's a wrong perception because it don't actually highlight the other differences that we go through with black women individually as other women. It's a very terrible misconception as well, because that leaves a lot of us vulnerable for women to mistreat us, because you're trying to paint this narrative that the only time you can have a bad experience is with a black man. And that puts you at even more of a detriment. And it doesn't really speak to the fact that the men have been hurt by black women. And I ain't talking about actual adult men having romantic involvements. I'm talking about the fact that most black kids, most black boys start off as early as 8 years old being sexually active because they have been molested by an older black woman. And so when you're
try not to say the N word.
I got you. But when you're talking about black people and how we behave and what our issues are and things like that, this polishing on social media to shame black people, to shame black people who speak out of black women, about black women, to make black women feel like we're above reproach, they do it at the antithesis of black men. That is the only reason why I don't stand behind it. I could stand behind them saying black women are being mistreated, black women are being oppressed, but all we do is live our life right. We don't harm nobody. We always trying to help people. I could stand by that if they were not always diminishing black men and using black men as their punching bag in the process. If they were also saying that black men are in our community, they're trying their best, they're, beating barriers. If they were actually having that conversation as well, this would make a lot more sense. But for me, you can't bring up all the negative things about black men and then try to highlight Black women as if we're the end all be all. And then
Right.
we're over here by ourselves. You can't do it. And vice versa. You can't make it seem as if Black men are good, this, that, and the third, but Black women are so terrible. It don't go together because we are a reflection of each other. Like you said the other night, we're comparable.
Mm-hmm.
So I have a huge issue with that. I really can't stand when Black women get in the media and the whole idea is we are the best. We're the top of the top. We're elite. But they do that by kicking Black men down. If you
Yes.
feel like you can praise Black women, you should be able to do that. You don't have to
Praise Black
praise
men.
in the process. You can actually uplift Black men the same way. And until we get that, I'm forever gonna have my platform, and I'm gonna forever stand in my truth. And if you think I'm going somewhere, you out your mind.
So let me play this. This is a big example right here.
Is that women are having, Black women in particular, when it comes to becoming a wife?
Keeping it 100,
Yes.
there's not enough eligible Black males who fit the needs of Black women.
First thing comes out of her mouth is Black men. It's the Black man's fault.
By the time you dissect the demographics of finances, sexual orientation, what you end up drilling down into, because Black women tend to want to marry Black men.
Right.
Shown in research that women want to marry on their same level of financial and educational status.
Yeah.
See how she's painting the picture? Men marry women. Women don't marry men. So wherever you are has no bearing on whether you get married. A man has to marry you. So wherever you are don't matter. It matters where a man is.
So if you're a Black woman making $150,000 a year with a master's degree, you tend to want to marry a Black man on that same level or higher. If Black women are excelling at such an accelerated rate, how do men keep up with that?
A lot of times
So listen to what she says right here, because this is important.
the studies say Black women are the highest growing number of entrepreneurs. And we have been for the past 15, 20 years. That don't mean that we making money. Don't be fooled by the data. They just say we leaving. They didn't say we getting paid. They just say we leaving. They didn't say that we were thriving. They said that we're leaving to create a business. An LLC equals $0. Somebody saying that they're a consultant or a coach equals $0. That means nothing.
Me coaching is the lowest stream of income on my 8 streams of income. So she's right.
Do guys even like independent women?
So that's just a perfect example of just how women crap on Black men in order to make them feel better about themselves. But look, I want to say this.
Also talk about that low number. The only Black woman she spoke to was the woman who's making over 100K. The 6-figure Black woman. That's not your everyday Black woman. On average, Black women at their lowest make $28,000. At the highest,
and at their median is what, 50? What's the median?
The median for a Black woman, the median is around 35 to 38,000. On highest, the average Black woman makes about 41,000, and there's still a 3,000 to 5,000 difference from the average Black woman to the average Black man. Black men are still making more. Another thing they never talk about with the entrepreneurship, because all of this is geared around money, right? Money should not be the basis of where we're picking a partner. So when they're even talking about an eligible Black man, they're not talking about character, but it's so easy for them to say that. This goes back to my earlier point, but they get offended when you say Black women are the least desired, and it's all centered around wealth, status, and money. You are the least desired from every demographic about wealth, status, and money. But when you're talking about eligibility of a Black man to marry, and you're saying what is from one Black person to another, based off of their age, based off of their monetary status, based off of all of these other demographic ideas that they will be placed into, or categories that they will be placed into, the only thing that they mention is the money. Relatively speaking,
there's a reason why, though.
Even though Black men are the most unemployed demographic, the actual, and that's due to incarceration, the most homeless as well. But those things even playing a factor, right? it's because of other factors that ain't got nothing to do with black women. So
But
it's all dealing around systematics. It's not a
the
thing
reason
of who
why
actually are better than them.
the reason why women focus so much on money, even though they ain't got none, but the reason why they focusing on it is because they need validation from somebody. And the only way, because you got to understand, just like you said, black women are the least desired group, and all these other issues with black women, and then single motherhood and all this other thing, right? The only thing that they can hold on to is, and then you got to look at social media, right? So the women who appear or act like they have the most money are the women who are the main women who are saying we make more money, because it goes back to the confirmation bias. Like, I'm around millionaires, right? The majority of my friends are millionaires. I probably make, I'm not going to say the less, but the lower amount of money out of all of my friends, right? So I can, in my world, I'm like, there's a lot of black men that are eligible bachelors, make a lot of money and do all these different things. And I still have an understanding that there's another group of men that are losers and not taking care of their kids. So I'm not going to run around and say black women, or I'm sorry, black men are running circles around this person and that person, because we're not. I understand that it's a low proportion, but women need that feeling of validation to lie and say black women are doing A, B, and C. If anybody was doing something like that, it would be black men, because more black men make over $100,000 a year than black women. But we don't do that because we don't need that validation. But let me go down this rabbit hole real quick. Why are our women, and this is just women, period, the way they are? It starts off right here. I just want y'all to just think about this. Father says no to his daughter. What does she do? Just from a, not every woman, but when a father says no to his daughter, she goes out and gets the gratification, validation from a boy, right? When that boy says no to that girl, she goes to a man, right? Say she's 17. Her dad says, don't do this, don't do that. She goes to a 17-year-old boy. And when that 17-year-old boy doesn't give her what she wants, what does she do? She goes to a 20-year-old boy, a 20-year-old man, right? So now she's with a 20-year-old man. When the 20-year-old man says no, she has a baby by that 20-year-old man, and she puts him on child support. So now the government is validating her existence as being right. So first, when the father says no, a boy validates her as being right. When the boy says no, a man validates her as being right. And when a man says no, the government validates her as being right. And then when she goes out and say, Sierra type of situation, she has a baby by this guy, and then she ends up still getting married, which happens all the time. She now has a husband, right?
That validates her to need to feel
That
right.
validates her for being right, right? See, I went through all this, so it goes all the way back. Daddy, you were wrong. I told you, I know what I'm doing. Next thing you know, because she feels validated, but the validation always comes from a man. So then when you look at the wife, when the husband says no, she leaves the husband, and now the government comes back in and validates her for being right. And then she goes on and gets alimony from that particular man. And then it keeps going. But now when the job she gets says no, she goes to HR and sues her supervisor for sexual harassment and gets a check from the company that validates her for being right. So no matter where you go in our society, and then I didn't even include social media and pandering men that is always going to tell her that as long as you pay me and do this and do that, I'm going to validate your feelings. Virtually everywhere a woman goes, somebody is going to make her feel like she's right in everything she does. And that's the reason why we can't tell women shit. Because there's always going to be some man that's going to say, nope, he was wrong, you are right. What are your thoughts on that?
I feel like that is a good assessment as far as to look at it. I never looked at it that way, but I do think that overall we look at so many mundane things that don't matter because the dynamic of black relationships are not synonymous to other people. Even when you talk about uh, white people, you just reference them. They typically marry based off of their class. We don't do that.
I
We
agree.
marry however we marry. We marry for love. We
Because it's
marry for
tall.
yeah, all of these vain reasons, right? You know, it's not very common to see two church kids get married no more. That used to be a black thing. That's not us no more. And even when they talk about the entrepreneurship, they fail to even mention the fact that a lot of those businesses from black women are restart up business, rebranded businesses, or they never got back started up and went out of business. So we are
Or they got a
constantly
job and a business, and they don't
correct,
tell nobody that they got a job. They talk
correct.
about how they got a business. Because a
Yes,
lot of women,
that
and this ain't going off on women in any kind of way, but the majority of the female entrepreneurs that are doing content, they have jobs, but they don't talk about
or
the jobs that they have.
they have a man in the background.
Or they have a man, not a husband, but just some man that she's
The
probably, giving
background.
in
And
the
I say
background.
this all the time. We think
Mhm.
rent due is a new thing. It used to be called the light bill due. It ain't new. You not learning nothing new. Yo, you always had some black woman, right? Because I remember growing up, there was a thing of income tax season. I didn't know what income tax season was till I got older because I came from a two-parent household. My reality
Mhm.
looked a lot different. But
Mhm.
I used to always remember people around saying that they were broke. But all of a sudden, when school come, all of a sudden, when Christmas come, you got all this money. Where do you get this money from when you only working one job? Everybody ain't working two jobs, but some women work two jobs. But where a woman who only working one job and got two kids, where she get that money from?
Selling
It came
ass.
from a man. You just didn't see
Mhm.
that man. And that idea of I got kids, I ain't dating, really stem from the women weren't getting serious. So they didn't show you a man until they knew it was going somewhere. That's when your quote unquote uncle popped up out of nowhere. When she was already doing something in the background. You wondering where she met this man from. She already been dealing with him. Today, what that looks like is the women tell the men that they got kids and they still go and date. And maybe he come around the kids, maybe he don't. But the kids are already very much aware, and we see it all the time. The kids on TikTok telling all their mama business, and they think it's
Mhm.
funny. They think it's funny. So the idea that oh, you got to pay my rent, it just transferred from you got to put some on this light bill.
Yeah.
You're not getting anything new. Black culture is the same thing. It's just being done differently. So even if it's not the government, even if she, because again, how are a lot of these women affording these bundles and affording these trips and affording all of these other things when the numbers do not accommodate for your actual reality? You can't
Yeah.
have the largest debt sector and telling us that you're praying Joe Biden pull through for this college erasing loan plan. You can't tell us that that people are sitting out here fighting for everything under the sun and there is no man around helping you. It's got to be something.
Exactly.
Your mom ain't got no money, and your homegirls is not the ones that's giving it to you.
Women ain't got no money, and that's the thing that nobody understands. But oh, something happened. So let me read this super chat real quick. Shout out to Blue Baggins. He says, these degrees do not equal to money. Black women still make exponentially less than black men. And it's not just that. I want to show y'all something. I don't know what just happened. Hold on, I'll just get it again. I want to show y'all something that a lot of women don't understand, and they don't think this is a reality right here. Okay. I'm gonna show y'all this video, but first I need y'all to make sure y'all hitting the like button for those who are coming in, and let's have a commercial break. Why can't I see my videos in the background? Hold on, I might pull up the wrong video.
You get older.
Yo, what in the world? Hold on a second, y'all. My stream had a hiccup and something happened. So hold on, I just gotta bring it back up.
Deeper Discussion card game is meant to give you and other players deep understanding of how we all deal with relationship, when or if things get serious. One of the biggest reasons why people break up is because of underlying family issues. This game can be played with either 2 people or an entire group, so have fun.
Question number 1. What is the one thing you wanted but didn't receive when you were young? Name a time when money was the main factor why a relationship went bad.
Deeper Discussions Dating Edition. Again, these cards are good for vetting a potential boyfriend,
Candidate.
a potential girlfriend, a potential husband, a potential wife. It'll even tell you what's wrong with your sneaky link. If you and your sneaky link need to have a conversation, these are the cards. Texture, these cards are so soft and silky, by the way. Like
They ain't gonna get
really
wore out. after you-
durable.
A dating card game for introverts who have a hard time asking the much needed compatibility questions. Deeper Discussions, the card game.
So y'all check this video out real quick. So for those who don't know, this is, I'm gonna put this on the big screen. This is New York. This is the day before yesterday. Hit the like button, hit the like button, hit the like button. So that is another aspect that Black women do not want to address, the aspect of safety. There has been, of course, that was on the 29th. There has been Hurricane Katrina that killed thousands of people, hundreds of people, hopefully not thousands. Does anybody in Texas remember how bad it was in Texas when that snowstorm happened and the power grid went out? Does anybody remember in Texas when the power grid went out in Texas? Oh, you was in it. Oh crap! I forgot you in Texas. So, as a community, did you have a man or anybody, friends, men, or whatever, to come help you, or what did you feel? Because I forgot you was in Texas.
Nothing. I didn't feel anything because I'm from Arkansas.
You're
To
used to it.
me, yeah, like my parents had kind of already like that. To me, like growing up in the country, certain forms of survival are just inherent to me. And my
Inherent, yeah.
boyfriend, yeah, like my boyfriend, he lived about 15 minutes up the street. He had
Hmm.
more of a issue with it than I did, but he also was working. Like they didn't his job. He's an essential worker. He didn't get off work, but where he's from, he drives in the snow. So it was kind of
Hmm.
like, though, like it was kind of like that equal balance. I
Hmm.
also didn't have as much of a terrible situation as other people. Some
Hmm.
people, their houses were getting like flooded into things like that. I had a blessing because my heat never went off. My electricity never went off except for one time. And then when it did go off, I was probably out without heat for my electricity didn't go off, but I was probably without heat for maybe 3.5 hours. My
So your
maintenance
heat
bill was
when
on. They were
yeah,
on round the clock duty.
there was a blizzard in Buffalo. Jimmy James said something about the Buffalo, and I forgot about that too. So when it comes to natural disasters that keep happening, they're no longer natural; they're man-made. What do women do with this? Wouldn't it
Well,
make more
I will
sense
also
for a
say
woman to
in
have
that
a husband?
situation, my I called my dad. He had already my dad was already watching the news before it even hit, and my dad had already prepared me for like what was coming and basically told me what to do. Like y'all need to get some supplies. Did you call your cousin? Let her know what's going on.
Mhm.
Et cetera, et cetera. He had already been like, y'all preparing for this storm. It's gonna be bad. This is what they saying, and so
Yeah.
when things did start happening where I did have minor hiccups, because I really don't want to go into detail about actually what was happening for me personally.
Mhm.
But when I did have minor hiccups, my dad was definitely available to kind of tell me what I did need to do.
So when it comes to a fatherless woman, a manless woman, you had a father, you had a man, you had cousins. What does a manless woman do in that situation?
They had
Was
to
a
go to
flood?
shelters, and the shelters weren't even accepting a lot of the women who had children
So
at that
this
time.
this in particular is the reason why I do what I do. I'm hard on women because of this stupid independent woman bull crap. Women have this delusional thought process that all they need is a job and a degree and they okay. But doing a home invasion, I know somebody that had an home that had a home invasion. His mother and his child was there. His house was just big enough where they didn't make it to the mother and the child because they was just on a different floor. It was like multi floors. So they just kicked in the door and ramshacked. They didn't go around all over the house. They went to the bedroom, went and got what they wanted and left out. And when you got a 7, 8 bedroom house on different floors, you don't have to go to you look for the actual owner, the master bedroom, get watches, get jewelry, get whatever, and then you get out, right? You don't go to the kids' bedroom or the other bedroom or the whatever bedroom because there ain't no reason. And they just left out, right? So they didn't make it to them. But it happens to us. See, people keep thinking that, oh, it happens to them over there. No, it happened to you. It happens to us, right? So all together, when you see some end of the world type of stuff, we all think is on TV. This happens every day, but the only difference is it doesn't continue to happen like on TV. See,
Right.
on TV, when something happens, it happens and it's forever. With us, it happens and somehow a plug gets pushed in, and next thing you know, it stops. The
Yeah, I
rain
remember
stops, the
Katrina.
flooding stops, the electricity comes back on, the snow goes away. But there easily can be an issue where there's something that can happen where it can eventually stop, but the problem ends after 9 months.
Well,
And
see,
go ahead.
for me, it's a little bit different. I don't subscribe to that whole black women need protecting because I've been prepared my whole life.
You got a
Like
dad. Yeah.
Well, he also kept a gun in the house. Me and all my siblings, we're gun owners. Me and every
Yeah.
single one of my brothers. I live by myself. I've never lived with a man aside from my dad. Like never lived with another man. So even my boyfriend, like, yeah, he got, 3 guns, and two of them are handguns. I got a gun. Like, I don't know. A lot of that stuff, like I said, I can't necessarily resonate with it because the reality is
I have
there is
axes along with guns.
yes, there is no preparation. There is no preservation without preparation. You have to prepare yourself in order to preserve yourself.
Yeah.
And so the reality of it is, like, you still have to, one, be able to listen, two, be able to take direction. So it's like I have that culture around me in order that helps me to keep
Think
that
about what you just said though. Black women who don't have fathers don't listen, and they don't know how to cooperate. And that, like I said earlier, is the actual stigma and is a real thing. Because the thing about it is, you have a father. My kids, my daughters have me. So certain sides or certain demographics don't see this as being a realization. But
most
overall,
times it's most women and children that are caught in these things too, that are
and they
without.
die.
That's majority of the time that a lot of times in natural disasters, the bodies, they're mainly women and children.
Women and
But
children.
even like
And
I
that's
said,
what I'm saying.
that happened here where the
Yeah.
women, their houses and stuff weren't functional, and they had to leave it. Everybody, if they couldn't get into a hotel because they were booked up, the hotels either had the same situation or they had no money. So they were going to shelters. Shelters were so packed that they were sleeping on top of each other and the women were turned away. And then there was one shelter in downtown Dallas that they ended up having a flood leak. And so the homeless women or women without, they still had to suffer. So
Yeah.
it's a trickle down effect.
So let me play this video real quick, and we're gonna go in a minute.
Off in the United States. What if the Chinese or the Russians or whatever just tactically EMP'd the entire country and just put us back into the Stone Age? We had no internet, we had no shipping supplies, we had no communication, we had no cars. EMPs will kill your car battery. You can't do anything. Preppers that theorize these guys are scientists and sociologists. They said that most of the population of the United States, 60% plus, would die within 4 weeks. Holy shit. 4 weeks. No way. Most of the population. Turn back on. We'll put that back on. We're going to need it. So most of the population lives in major cities, right? LA, New York, things like that. How do those cities actually get food, get clean water, get anything? Because they have the worst sewage problems. Those people are going to starve to death. They're not going to have clean water. They can't grow food. There's nothing to hunt. So as soon as that EMP goes off, looting is instant. All chaos starts to happen. After the looting is done, the second thing that's going to happen is anybody with any power, aka guns, are going to start feeding off of the people that are weaker, that don't have the.
And the weaker people are going to be the single independent women. And I was having a conversation about this with a woman, and it was the most annoying conversation I ever had in my life, because she could not understand how I literally said, this is the reason why women need men. And I literally said, in the first 2 weeks, all the dumb dudes, the hood dudes, they're going to die off because they're going to be out there looting, and martial law is going to come in, or something's going to, some military group is going to come in, and they are going to just deal with each other, right? Because at some point, if there's an actual disaster like an EMP and there's a war type of thing, they're just going to shoot people. They're not going to lock them up because they don't have the time. They don't have the manpower to lock everybody up. They only have the room to lock everybody up. So if everybody's just going crazy, they're just going to start shooting people. And so that group of people is going to be gone. And then the next group of people, things are going to slow down a little bit. And then the next thing that's going to actually happen, and it's going to be people not kicking indoors. And they're going to be looking for single mothers because men have guns. Men are, So overall, the women are going to die off, and the only people that are going to be left is going to be men and married women, because a man ain't going to, let his married woman. And even when it comes to, hey, let us in, me and my wife, I ain't leaving without my wife. They're going to let the wife in too. But most relationships, people in relationships, he going to kick the girl out. Why? Because one, she ain't going to listen. Two, she going to use up food and resources. And three, ain't nobody thinking about sex during a natural disaster, a long-term natural disaster. So your girlfriend is going to get put out because I don't need no sex and you using up my food, my water, and you stink. I'd rather smell my own funk and be in this house by myself versus smelling, she ain't dealing with herself, when it comes to her poom poom or whatever, because it ain't no water, it ain't no this and that. So she's stinking up the house, you stinking up the house, and she using up food, using up water. Get out. And this is the thing that women don't understand when it comes to marriage and just having a boyfriend. It's not enough. So the last thing we're going to talk about is that. So what is your thoughts on that whole scenario? Because that's my whole premise on why I do what I do.
Well, I mean, I stand with what I say. There's no preservation without preparation. So you have to learn to be able to want to be interdependent with the
Yes.
other gender, and you have to be able to, because I mean, aside from natural disasters, things like that, just regular forms of survival. Black women are the only ones who are running around with a campaign talking about we're not protected. So if that doesn't make you attach yourself to men and attempt to learn survival tactics of just making these brash announcements of, oh, well, we need protection from men by men, then I really don't understand why you would wait until the end of the world type of situation in order to try and, you know, get ready for preparation. Natural disasters, things like that, things you can't avoid. Violence is not the only thing we need protection from.
Yeah. Yeah. So one, I want to thank you for pulling up, Paris. This was dope. We got to do this more often.
It
And
was dope. I appreciate you.
thank you. I appreciate you. So me and Paris be fussing on the Lapeef network, but
And
yeah,
I'm gonna
I
see you
gotta love
Thursday.
Paris.
I'll be fussing.
We're gonna be fussing. Yeah, we're gonna be
We're gonna
fussing.
be
But
fussing.
But yeah, I got a lot of love for Paris. I love how Paris holds her ground. She does a thing or whatever. So everybody, Paradise Paris is not your actual Instagram or YouTube handle. I don't know why you got that up since it's not your. People been asking what it is. So what is your handle so people can follow you?
You can follow me on YouTube at Just Landed in Paris. On Instagram and Facebook, it actually is at Paradise Paris. On TikTok, it's _Paradise Paris. And on Twitter, it is at _Paradise Paris 1. And for business inquiries, of course, it is going to be contact.paradiseparis@gmail.com. And I see Aaron got his cash app up here because that's what y'all know him by, Mr. Let Go. And if y'all wanted to donate to me, of course, my cash app is just Paradise Paris with the $sign in front of it. So you guys can find me on Instagram for sure at Paradise Paris. And if you find me on Instagram or you find me on Facebook at Paradise Paris, there are links in my bio that can get you to my other platforms as well as my YouTube. I do film on my own every Wednesday, anytime between 6 and 8 p.m. Central Standard Time. So you catch me on my YouTube on every Wednesday, and then I'll be on the Lapeef Network with Mr. Let Go on every Thursday.
That's what's up. That's what's up. Well, thank you for coming. I'm going to talk to my people a little bit and I'm going to look at some football. So I'll talk to you later, Paris.
I got you.
All right. Shout out to Jimmy James. Don't give your meat, money, energy, access to resources, time. To who though? Don't give to nobody? Wait. MEAT stands for money, energy, access, access to resources and time. Oh, okay. Gotcha. I get what you're saying. So, all together, I didn't want to play too much of this video, y'all, because I don't want no problems. So I'm gonna play a little bit more of it before I go. But it just is what it is, man. It's sad that we got to deal with this, but this is our women. This is our women.
Actually, not even applicable to you, Lauren.
So when you-
no, let me finish.
No,
right?
hold
No,
on.
I have to
Wait,
finish
wait,
because
wait,
you.
wait, no, wait.
Let her finish.
I have to finish my thought.
I just want
because
to wait
you-
before you finish it. So the disagreeing for me came with the starting with the infertility and the market value, the appreciating. So with
The disagreement came from something that is biological. Why do women spend so much energy trying to disagree with biology? Can anybody explain that to me? Because it's so much of a tolling. I love it, but it takes a toll just trying to figure out what women be talking about. You offended me, but the thing that offended me was my own biology. That's like saying, if I cut my finger, I'm going to bleed. Oh, I'm offended because you saying it's biology. If I cut myself, I'm going to bleed. So why are you offended? But it's what we got to deal with.
infertility, I know I said this yesterday, some stuff is science, right? You can't get around that. But I feel like when you start with that and you lead with that, it then makes people get defensive and they don't even hear it.
So because of that, though, right? I'm not going to sit in a posture of ownership because you made a choice.
I'm not going to sit in a posture of ownership because you made a choice to not listen to my content because you got offended off of biology. I don't understand. You're offended because of biological reasons. But this is what we got to deal with, y'all. What's going on? Get on your knees. What kind of name is that? Oh man, shout out to Get on Your Knees. That's hilarious.
To be limited in the way in which you received and processed the information.
So all together, y'all, I love our women. And I guess we're just going to have to deal with your dysfunctional, problematic way of operating. And we're just going to continue to protect y'all and be there for y'all. And why we have to deal with this constantly, I don't know. But like me and Paris talked about, you're going to sit down and be quiet. And I said it like that because I wanted to. Or you can not listen and stay single and get wiped away in the next natural disaster because you ain't got no sense like this. Because one of the biological reasons why you need, keyword need, a man is because of these things. You got a job, you got a degree, you're gonna live on your own, yeah. But this happened 3 days ago. 3 days ago. And guess what? This will, at some point in your life, affect you if you live in a major city. Whether it's a hurricane and Katrina got those people, whether it's this in New York, and this ain't the first time this happened in New York, whether it's what happened in Texas, whether it's what happened in Buffalo, whether it's what happened in Atlanta when we had our snowpocalypse, who are you going to run to if you don't have no man, you ain't got no daddy, you ain't got no uncle? You're going to be out here by yourself looking stupid. So you can have whatever money you have, whatever degrees you have, But if you don't settle down and find a husband, at some point, you and your little Pookie babies are going to get wiped away in something like this. Do you know how many women? Let me tell y'all something. Do you know how many women that may actually be in this water? You don't see nothing, but there may be people in this water that got wiped away simply because they didn't have a system. They didn't have an understanding. They didn't cooperate with somebody. And now they're wiped away in dirty, muddy swamp water. You see all these cars? You don't think people are in some of those cars? Like I said, keep being stubborn, keep being independent, and we'll just see y'all on the other side of whatever you just got swept away in or on or under. And with all that being said, if you have not already bought my Deeper Discussions card game, my card game will put you in a position where you will be able to find a man or a woman that knows how to listen, knows how to think, knows how to has an understanding of hierarchy. And you won't get stuck in a situation where you got either an effeminate man that don't know what he's doing or a goofy, dysfunctional, uncooperative woman when you're trying to tell her what to do and she ain't listening. Buy my card game. Buy my card game. Buy my card game. I'll talk to y'all later.
Deeper Discussion card game is meant to give you and other players deep understanding of how we all deal with relationships, when or if things get serious. One of the biggest reasons why people break up is because of underlying family issues. This game can be played with either 2 people or an entire group, so have fun.
Question number 1. What is the one thing you wanted but didn't receive when you were young? Name a time when money was the main factor why a relationship went bad.
Deeper Discussions Dating Edition. Again, these cards are good for vetting a potential boyfriend,
Candidate.
a potential girlfriend, a potential husband, a potential wife. It'll even tell you what's wrong with your sneaky link. If you and your sneaky link need to have a conversation, these are the cards. Actually, these cards are so soft and silky, by the way. Like
They ain't gonna get
really
wore out.
durable.
A dating card game for introverts who have a hard time asking the much needed compatibility questions. Deeper Discussions, the card game.